Hi, and welcome back to Living Inspired with Autism. This is a space for parents of autistic children who want calmer homes, more joy, and a life that feels like theirs again. Not just the appointments and the meltdowns and the paperwork. I'm Antoinette. I'm a life coach for parents of autism and mom to my own beautiful little son, Max. Now, today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, how to create what you want. Not just for your kiddo, but for you. Because here's what I see over and over again. When your kiddo gets an autism diagnosis, or when life simply becomes full of therapies and meetings and daily care, your own desires quietly move to the back of the queue. You stop asking, what do I want to create in my life? And you start asking, what do we need to survive this week? What do we need to do? I get it. I have been exactly there. But I want you to hear this right at the start. You are still allowed to want things. You are allowed to create them. And you are far more powerful than you currently believe. In this episode, I'm going to walk you through what it really means to create something in your life, how your current thinking is quietly creating your current results, a simple step-by-step way to create something new on purpose, and how to practice being the future you who already has what you want. And at the end, I'm going to show you how you can get help doing this with me in my year-long one-on-one VIP coaching experience if you want support as you create your next chapter. So, take a breath, settle in, and let's begin. What do you actually want? What do you want to create? And just notice what your brain does when I ask that. For many parents, a few things happen. The mind goes completely blank, thinking, I don't even know anymore. Or you jump straight to your kiddo and you think, I just want them to be okay. Or you think of things that feel impossible, like time or money, a holiday, or a weekend break. And very often when I ask, what do you want? People answer as if they're placing an order with the universe. I'd like more time. I'd like more money. I'd like a partner who understands. I'd like a calmer home. And it sounds a bit like, I hope life sends this to me somehow. The problem with that is it leaves you waiting for other people to change, waiting for the system to be better, waiting for circumstances to line up perfectly. I want you to think about it differently. Instead of, I want a holiday, try, I want to create a holiday. Instead of, I want more time for myself, try, I want to create pockets of time that are just for me. Instead of, I want to feel calmer, try, I want to create calm in my body on purpose. That tiny shift from waiting to creating puts power back in your hands. And you may not control everything that happens around you, but you have far more influence than you think over your life that you are building. Let's talk about how this actually works. There are two layers to this. The first layer is simply what you focus on. If you wake up and you look for everything that is hard, you're going to find it. The mess on the floor, email from school, being late for work, the appointment you forgot. Your brain's like, see, it's just all too much. And that becomes your experience of the day. If you wake up and deliberately look for the tiny things that are working, that quiet moment with your cup of coffee, when your kiddo smiles at you when you wake them up in the morning, that 5 minutes of peace in the car, listening to the music. Your external life may look exactly the same, but your experience of it changes. You are already creating a different reality just by how you filter your day. The second layer is deeper. Your thoughts create your feelings, drive your actions, and your actions create, guess what? Your results. So if you look at your life right now, your relationships, your work, your health, your sense of time, most of it has been shaped by thousands of small thoughts, feelings, and actions. Now, that doesn't mean that you choose every circumstance. Of course not. But it does mean that how you have responded when you've said yes or no, how you've spoken to yourself, all of that has been quietly adding up. Which is actually good news, because if your thinking helped create this version of your life, then new thinking can create a new version. To create something different, you will need to think differently. And that is exactly what we're going to practice today. I want to teach you a simple way to design what you want to create. Think of it as doing your life backwards on purpose. Instead of starting at the top with your current thoughts, we start at the bottom with the results that you want. So imagine a little ladder that looks like thought with a little arrow down, feeling, another little arrow, actions, another little arrow, results. Most of us live this from the top to the bottom, unconsciously. But today, we're going to walk it from the bottom up, consciously. So first, decide on a result. Decide what you want. Ask yourself, what is the one thing I want to create in my life over the next year? It could be calmer daily life, maybe a stronger, more loving relationship with your partner, a body that feels stronger and more energized, a side business that you've been dreaming about, saving for a family trip. Whatever it is for you, pick one for now, and then right at the bottom of your ladder, this is the result I want to create. Step 2, list the actions. Then ask, if this result already existed in my life, what actions would I have taken to get here? If your result is, I move my body 3 times a week, your actions might be going for a 20-minute walk after school drop-off, doing a short online class at home, prepping simple food that supports your energy. If your result is, I have a profitable little business, your actions might be reaching out to people, posting consistently on social media, booking calls, delivering value to clients. Remember, you don't need every step perfectly mapped out. Just write the obvious, simple actions that you can see from when you are. Because some of them are going to work and some of them not. But from where you are, what do those actions look like? Then step 3, find the feeling. Ask yourself, what feeling would I need most of the time to carry these actions out? Maybe it's committed. Maybe it's quietly determined. Maybe it's hopeful. Maybe it's courageous. My word for the year was unstoppable. Notice I didn't say motivated or excited, because these are lovely, but not always sustainable. Often the feelings that create the biggest results are calmer, they're steady, grounded, certain. Write that feeling above your list of actions. Then step number 4, choose a thought. Finally ask yourself, what would I need to believe to feel this way? If the feeling is committed, you might think, this matters to me. I'm learning to follow through. The future me is grateful that I'm doing this. If your feeling is hopeful, you might be thinking, change is possible for me. I don't have to get it perfect. I just have to make progress. Small steps count. The thought becomes the seed of the reality you're creating. Now you have your backwards model. Thought, creating feeling, creating actions, creating results, built on purpose instead of by default. Now, if you're anything like some of my clients, your brain might say, okay, this is lovely, but I don't actually believe that new thought yet. Perfect. This is exactly where we expect you to be. Right now, you may have an old model that sounds like, I never stick to anything. I don't have time. People like me don't just get to have that. And you have this new model you want, one you want to believe. I'm learning to follow through. I can create time for what matters. I am allowed to have beautiful things in my life. Most of the time, you'll feel like you're standing with one foot in each thought, basically. That in-between place can feel uncomfortable. It can feel confusing. It can feel wobbly. And I think of it like a bridge between the two versions. The one side is the you who feels stuck, who's had years of practice thinking the old thoughts. And on the other side, the one who has created the thing you want, who thinks very differently about herself and her possibilities. And coaching, and the work we're talking about today, is basically learning to walk that bridge on purpose without giving up halfway. I think of it, the metaphor, as one of those swing bridges over, like a ravine, and you've got these little wooden steps with the gaps in between so you can see down, and you're holding, and you just take one step onto the next rung, another step onto the next rung. That's how you actually cross it. You practice, you repeat, you rehearse, you just take one more step. Think about how a kiddo learns the ABCs. They repeat them again and again, and at first they have to think really hard. Later, it's just automatic. Your brain works the same way with beliefs. Right now, I don't have time might be so automatic that you don't even hear yourself think it. To create something new, you need to make a new thought. That thought familiar. One of my favorite ways to do this is what I call mental rehearsal. So imagine a moment that you are an actor in a play. You've been given this role of your future self, the version of you who has already created what you want. Maybe it's the you who takes gentle care of her body, runs a little business, has an organized home that feels good to be in, has more lightness in her week. Your job as the actor is to learn, what does she think? What does she or he think about him or herself? How does he or she feel most of the time? How does he or she walk into a room? How does she or he speak to herself or himself on a hard day? Write your lines. Take a few minutes to jot down the thoughts future you thinks if they were the lines in a script. I can handle this. If someone keeps showing up for herself, I am someone who keeps showing up for herself or himself. I create space for what matters. I trust myself to figure things out. These are not affirmations that you try to force believe. They are gentle sentences that you're willing to practice. And then you memorize your lines. You can write them down in your journal every morning. Put them on sticky notes where you can see them on the mirror when you brush your teeth. Rehearse them. Record them as a voice note and listen to them when you're on a walk. The goal is simple repetition. Just like an actor says the same lines over and over until they no longer have to think about them. And then the third step is you add emotion. Words alone are not enough. You want to feel them. So take one thought, for example. I'm learning to create what I want. And close your eyes for a moment. Picture your future self who believes that. What does her day look like? How does she breathe? What small choices does she make? Let yourself feel even 1 or 2% more like her. That tiny emotional shift matters. And then, step number 4, act the part in small ways. Now we bring it into your real life. Ask yourself, if I were already this version of me, what is one tiny thing I would do differently today? Maybe you say no to something you always say yes to. You go to bed a half an hour earlier. You ask for help with something. You spend 10 minutes on that project that really matters to you. These are your rehearsals. Each time you act in alignment with future you, you are strengthening that new identity. Now, there's one more piece I love to use with my clients. Gratitude ahead of time. We're used to saying thank you after something arrives. Thank you for this job. Thank you for this home. Thank you for this moment of peace. I want you to experiment with saying thank you before the result is here. Not from pretending your life is different than it is, but from trusting that you are on your way. So if you're working on creating more calm, you might say, thank you for this calmer version of me that I'm becoming. If you're creating your business, you might say, thank you for the clients that I'm serving and the people that I'm going to help. If you're creating more time, thank you that I'm learning to honor my time and energy. Your brain and your body don't fully distinguish between a vividly imagined future and a current reality. When you practice gratitude ahead of time, you are training your nervous system to feel safe with good things, with expansion, with receiving. And when you feel safer having good things, you're far more likely to take the actions that create them. So let's quickly talk about the most common obstacles that are going to come up as you start playing around with this. Obstacle number 1 could be, I don't know what I want, which is a common one. If that's you, start here. What feels even tiny bit lighter or more expansive than where I am now? Maybe you don't know your big 5-year vision. And that's okay. Start with, I want more peace in my day. I want one thing that is just for me. I want to feel proud of myself again. Pick one small thing and practice creating that. Another obstacle could be, I don't have the time or the money to create what I want. Gently notice how often your brain offers that sentence. Treat it as a thought, not the final truth. Ask yourself, if I did have a bit of money or time for this, what would be the very first step to take? Sometimes that step is free. Having a difficult conversation, asking for support, saying no, watching an hour less TV or scrolling. Sometimes it's going to be paid. You're going to invest in a course or a coach, or paying for help at home, booking something that feels really nourishing. You don't have to solve the whole thing today. You just need your next right step. Another obstacle that can come up, it feels selfish to create what I want. Oh, my friend, If I could reach through this microphone and hug you, I would. You creating a life that lights you up is one of the most generous things that you can do for your family. A regulated, fulfilled, inspired parent changes the entire atmosphere at home. You're not taking away from your kiddo when you grow. You are showing them what is possible. Now, before we close, I want to speak to those of you who are listening and thinking, this all sounds amazing, and I know I won't do it on my own. If that's you, I created my year-long one-on-one VIP coaching experience exactly for this. It's for parents who are ready to stop living in constant reaction mode. Get clear on what they want in their health, relationships, work, and daily life. Learn to regulate their nervous systems and manage their minds, and create a life that feels rich and meaningful alongside autism, not instead of it. Over 12 months, we design the result that you want to create, big or small. We build the beliefs, the feelings, and the habits that make those results inevitable. We are going to coach through obstacles, the wobbles, the bridge between where you are now and who you're becoming, and we're going to celebrate each piece you create along the way. It's intimate, it's deep, and it's completely tailored just for you. I'm not slapping a generic program on your life. I'm crafting your version of a successful, inspired autism family. And if you've been listening, you've had this little nudge of, I think this is for me. I want to invite you to take the next step. You can find the link in the show notes to book a consult with me. And we're going to talk about where you are now, what you want to create over the next year, and whether this VIP experience is the right container to support you. No pressure, no convincing, just a real conversation about your life and your desires. So, as we wrap up today, I want to ask you to ask yourself one more time, what do I want to create? Not in some distant fantasy life, in this life, with this child or children, in this season. Maybe it's something small and tender. Maybe it's something big and bold. Write it down. Walk through the backwards model. Begin to rehearse your new lines. Let yourself feel gratitude ahead of time. And remember, you are not stuck. You are not at the mercy of everyone else's decisions. You are a creator. You have done incredibly hard things already. You can learn to do beautiful things for yourself as well. Thank you for spending this time with me. I am cheering so loudly for you as you step into the next version of your life. I'm sending you so much love, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.